Have you seen this news article lately? The rise in C-section births may be changing human evolution. And there's been a few articles I've seen come out with this. So it's talking about how babies' heads are growing larger, but women's pelvises, female pelvises, have not kept up with that. So this has been touted as human evolution happening before our eyes. This is not evolution, this is natural selection. So here's what's happening. Women now, because of the prevalence of medical science, are more likely to have a C-section available to them if baby's head is bigger than their hips, bigger than their pelvis. And so if the baby's head can't fit through the pelvis naturally, then it's quite easy and standard procedure to go ahead and have a C-section, which is great. That means more moms and babies are surviving. That's wonderful. What it also means, though, is that women with small pelvises are able to pass on that genetic information to their offspring. So before C-sections were so widely used, women whose pelvises were not big enough for the baby to pass through would die in childbirth. The child would die in childbirth, and that those genes would not be passed on. That's called natural selection, right? So that means that genetic information is selected out of the genetic code, and it's not passed on. So that is natural selection that happens all the time around us. And we can see it happening. It's observable science. It's not evolution. Evolution is new genetic information being introduced into the genome. An example of evolution would be that if moms with narrow pelvises aren't able to give birth to their babies, then a new birth canal would open up somewhere else that doesn't have to do with their pelvis, that they would naturally be able to give birth, out of their belly button or something. Right? That would be new information introduced into our genetic code, the ability to give birth out of other places than through your pelvis. And that would be evolution. That has not happened. And you know what? That example is so ridiculous that most of us would look at that and go, well, that's never going to happen. That's stupid. And it is, because that's what evolution is. It's the introduction of new information that comes from who knows where into the genome. And it's not going to happen. What's happening is natural selection with moms surviving with narrow pelvises. They're surviving childbirth with babies that have bigger heads. Therefore, those babies are going to grow up and pass on the genetic information for large-headed babies and narrow pelvis mothers to their offspring, and then it will perpetuate, and we will see that happening more and more. Again, awesome example of natural selection, totally not evolution.